just saw me build. It's a remote control car, and what I've basically done is I've upgraded the motor. Instead of using the original one, I used a bigger drill motor, and it uses a solenoid switch underneath. I don't know if you can see that, it's probably too dark, underneath there, which it only has forward on it. When I push forward on the remote, it can, this circuit turns on the solenoid switch, which turns on the motor. So this motor runs on an 18 volt lithium ion, or 18 volt 3 amp lithium ion battery pack. I used the Makita one because I had it available. So that there just slides in there like that. Slides in over these two little fins here. That one there and that one there, if you can see that. So that clicks into there. What I've done is, majority of this is 3D printed. So the battery holder is 3D printed, the aerial holder here is 3D printed, these back wheel hubs are 3D printed, the front ones are the original ones. The motor mount is 3D printed, this pulley is 3D printed, both pulleys are 3D printed, the wheel holder is 3D printed, all the spaces and fittings that go onto this back steel axle are 3D printed. This green thing here that holds on the front wheel so it can turn is 3D printed. These two things that hold on the steering mechanism is 3D printed. These two white things that hold on the circuit is 3D printed. And I don't think I missed anything. No. This circuit is run by a 9.6 volt battery that's been, the original battery that came with the original remote control car. And so what I've done, as I said, is I've put this battery runs the circuit board. The circuit board turns on the solenoid switch. The solenoid switch allows the power from this battery to go to there without frying this circuit by running it through this battery, or this one. But it goes in there. Even this belt is 3D printed. So I 3D printed this out of flexible filament. I'm not sure what type of filament it is, it's just flex filament. It's something like that. So all this has been 3D printed. I've got bearings in here, a bearing in both sides, behind that belt, the pulley. This steel axle here, I filed down into from a circle into like a circle with two flat sides on it, so it can actually hold the wheels on and grip the belt and the wheels, so it doesn't move. I held it on with still some nuts that go on each side, hold it in place, and to stop it just sliding around. Okay, this isn't the first test I've done, but it's the first test that I'm going to do that I'm happy with the setup, and the first test where I'm going to try something else that I've printed, and we'll give it a shot. Rightio. Not a very good connection with the battery. Right, so I got that sorted, hopefully. And there we go. smoking. Beautiful. Try it again. Okay. Well, it's working. It does smoke up under power, or under strain I should say. Other than that, it's working pretty much fine. It's good. I will need to probably fix up put different gearing on it so it doesn't smoke up like that. Maybe replace the motor in the future and drive it somewhere flat, not on a slope. But it works. It does have a couple of connection issues, but that can be dealt with. Alright, now for the part of the video where I talk about the stupid things that I've done and how much of an idiot I am because, well, of the stupid things that I've done. Number one, this pulley. At the moment I have a small pulley on here which is smaller than the original one. This is the original one. Now I had no problems with the grip of the original one or anything like that. The problem was that the motor was put under too much strain and it started smoking really quickly with this big one on, and the gear ratio was 1:1, so I just put a smaller one on there and changed it, so I don't seem to have that problem as much anymore. Number two, the bearing bush. So on this steel axle here, I printed, on this steel axle, it goes through a bearing in here. It goes through a bearing, and I designed, that was close. I designed that, the outside of that too small so it didn't fit in there, so it just wobbled around. Number three, this thing. This is the motor holder, the thing that holds the motor. Yeah, self-explanatory. At the moment I've got this black one. I stuffed that up, well I stuffed the first one up because it wasn't wide enough that way, and it didn't fit into the aluminium track. And I printed it just laying on the bed like that, so the ley lines are going across this way, and it's split because that hole there wasn't big enough. Number four, the thing that holds the steering on, and I printed that too small that way, and it didn't work. What are we up to? 5. This little thing, this is just to keep a spring in place, and I designed that too small. Like, it keeps the spring in place for this. It keeps that spring in place, and I printed it too small and it doesn't work. I'll skip these two for now. I'll come back to those. What are we up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6. I printed another motor mount. I printed it, instead of this one, I fixed up the width there, but I printed it that way, upright like that, to see if I could, so it wouldn't snap there, to see if I could get it to not snap there. But I had under extrusion issues, severe under extrusion issues, and it didn't work. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't keep track of counting. The drive belts. They worked. All of them so far have worked. How well, that's questionable. The first one I printed was this. This is the thickest one I printed, like the thickest wall around here I printed. Problem was, it wants to keep it shaped way too much, and when you're trying to put it in the thing, you have to pull it really, really tight, which puts a lot of strain on the motor because it wants to keep its shape. So then the second one I printed was this thin one. It worked perfectly until it snapped because it was too thin. And then I printed this one, which is a medium-sized one, which worked perfectly. And back to this. This was the most annoying part of all of them. What it is it's a thing that holds the wheel to the steel axle in the front steering. Now, I've printed so far about 12 of these things. Here's the original one. The reason I've printed 12 of them is because either they've snapped, or, well, 9 of them snapped, 2 or 3 of them, sorry, had the wrong size hole there, the wrong size hole there, or both holes wrong size. The big hole is for the steel axle that runs through to keep it rigid. The other side is for the screw to go through to hold it in place so the wheel can't just fall off. Finally, after 12 prints and finally getting it right, I decided to print it in nylon. Nylon hasn't broken yet, so I'm hoping that I won't have a problem with that. Admittedly, it probably will break because I haven't dried my filament and it's a bit wet. So I think I might need to, well, I tried to dry it, but that just melted the outside of the spool holder. But other than that, everything is pretty much worked out semi-okay. So I'm happy with it so far. These things are some of the modifications I've had to do, and again, other than that, I'm happy with how it's turned out. It's great. Right, overall, I'm pretty happy with how this thing's turned out. I have had a lot of hiccups along the way, but other than that, it's been pretty good. In the future, I probably will make some modifications to it. Considering I may end up considering making these wheel holders out of some sort of steel or metal or something. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm the Exo-Engineer. See ya.